Welcome to Washington Football Week with your host, one half of that dynamic duo, Sean Spencer, and South Carolina's finest, Will Kramer.
Don't play us if you're undefeated.
Where we celebrate past success while looking to a bright future. There's a youth movement in Washington, and they're ready to take the reins, led by a fire force. It's a new day, new dawn, no longer the laughing stock. It's time to take command.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy, Sean Spencer, one half of that dynamic duo that's Let's Talk Football. It's Wednesday. Happy Hump Day. You see who I'm with? My guy, South Carolina's finest, Will Kramer. What up, Will?
Sean, the debut of that intro. That was awesome. I had chills. I had some tears at the end.
Yep,
I had smiles. Oh, I mean, that was so well done.
Thank you,
Done.
Thank you, sir. Yes, I was trying to hold that in. I wanted to tell you as soon as I made it, but I was like, you know what? Let me wait till we start this. I shared it with a couple other people, and I had that same response and that same reaction. And I was like, okay, he's going to love this. He's going to love it.
That's so good.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, what's up, Nathan? Talk about Welcome to the Serengeti. Yes, the movie title intro. That's what it was. Guys, welcome to Washington Football Weekly. We are back, and as you can see, the camera and the Wi-Fi are working. Dan Snyder on his way out trying to cut us, but it's okay because we got with the Josh Harris group. We're good. We're good, Will. We are good. We are back. Oh, my God. Will, it's a new day in Washington, man.
Sure is.
Man, I am excited, and I'm ready to get into this week 2 of training camp. But we got some unfinished business, Will. We got some unfinished business. We got to talk about it. We are under new management. Josh Harris and the partners purchased the team. The league is said it is all good. They approved the sale. We are good to go. Will, let's try this again. How did you feel when you heard the news, and how are you feeling today, man?
Oh, man. I don't remember what I said last week, but it's an incredible day. For a while, we talked about our excitement, but we kind of stayed in reservation just because we really weren't sure. And we were kind of being like, this is such a big moment. I didn't want to get too excited too early.
Yes.
You know, in May when they announced like they're going to accept the bid, like I didn't want to just get too excited too early. But mostly because I don't think I ever thought this day was going to come. I mean, Dan Snyder survived everything.
Yeah.
So many times he should have been thrown out of the league. And you know, it's just like, we're going to be stuck with this guy. And then he's going to pass it on to his son. And, we're stuck. So I was in denial for so long. So it's just crazy that it happened. And even like watching it, I wasn't just sitting there like cheering or in tears, but it was just like, wow, is this really happening? Like, there's a celebration. There's new owners. Like, Magic Johnson owns our team. Like, what is this?
No, I you know it. I talked to you on that day, and people were hitting me up. I know people were hitting you up, and they were like, "Oh my God, can you believe it? Can you believe it?" And it's one of those situations where you're in shock. You're like, what? Like, is this for real? And like you said, I mean, we had dubbed this guy the Teflon Dan, you know what I mean? Because he was bulletproof. There was nothing that was, penetrating his shield or whatever. But finally, all this stuff came out. And like you said, man, Josh Harris Group is taking over. Magic is in the spotlight. One of the things that, what have we heard recently? Magic in every sport, basketball, baseball, women's stuff. Every sport, he's got a title. Bring it here. Bring it here, Magic. I love it.
Yeah.
And Kat is in love with this whole thing. She's like, now I had Kurt, and now I have Magic. Oh, I want to go to the first game. I want to go to the season opener.
You should go to the season opener. It's going to be so hype. Oh my gosh.
I mean, you already know that there have been talks, rumors that they're already going to be sold out for the first game. Now, obviously, that was talk at one point, but I will say something, and I messaged you about this today. I went to the mall working with the guy that I watch, and we always do our little exercise in the mall. And there's a couple stores that have sports memorabilia and stuff, and because we're local, they have that in the window. But that was about all you're gonna get, and maybe like the lids, the hat store that has all the hats on one section. You weren't getting anybody openly wearing it. Will 5 or 6 separate groups of people with multiple people wearing their jerseys. They're Chase Young, they're Terry McLaurin, Sam Howell. Man, there's an excitement here, Will. People are excited. We're back, man.
Yeah. The fan base has awoken very fast. I did not see this happening this quickly. I knew that people would come out, some of those the old fans of the Redskins would be like, all right, well, because there's a lot of people that with Snyder there, they're like, I've seen this. You guys just don't win. I'm not going to invest my energy. And it's like, you knew they would come back eventually, but they've come out strong. It's like we all have this like renewed hope. And you said it. Nobody's embarrassed now to be a Redskins Commanders fans the way we kind of were. For the last 8 years, all I've heard from people is about the name change, and then the whole thing of I would always hear, I like the Redskins, but I hate Snyder, so I really can't root for you guys, and it's like, that's gone now. Yeah. And we saw at training camp, 2,000 to 3,000 the very first day fans could be there, 2,000 to 3,000 the second day. Yep. Then you have 10,000 on the Saturday when it was start this first weekend fan day. That's a ton of players, and everybody's feeling it. Everybody's feeling the excitement, just like you said.
Yes. And we've been waiting for it. Finally, it's long overdue. So, this is when you start looking ahead. This is when you start saying, okay, you wipe off the muck and all the slime and all the crap from the past. Because like you said, we've been the laughingstock. That's one of the reasons I put that towards the end. We're no longer the laughingstock, but the simple fact that Dan Snyder is gone.
Yeah,
we're no longer the laughingstock. And right on time, Kat. We just talked about it. I'm just as excited. Let's go, Magic. Yes, Catherine. Yep. It looks like we might be going to that first game, Kat, so you can see your Magic Johnson.
I would suggest, Kat, that you leave that Sunday open. I believe you're going to be in Landover, Maryland that Sunday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead and start paying rent up in there. But look, this is great. We love it. But Will, there's been a question you've been wanting to ask for months. There's a question that you've been begging to get on camera for months and ask. And let's get right into it. And real quick, before, it's just like what you said. We wanted to ask the question, and we're going to get to the question. What would you do in the first 30 years as a new owner? But to be honest, it kept seeming to get pushed back. Because even towards the off season, when the off season first started, and we were all kind of had that inkling like this is it, he's really gonna go. It still took all the way to July 20th to get the whole thing done. So we finally get to ask it. Here you go. First 30 days as a new owner. What are you doing, Will?
Yeah. So I think my big thing is going to be finding ways to connect with the fans. You've got all this momentum. Let's find some ways to keep the good vibes going. So the very first thing I would do is I would take a page out of Arthur Blank's playbook in Atlanta, and I would slash concession prices dramatically.
Yes.
Okay. One of the biggest things that fans get so upset about is it already costs an arm and a leg to get into the stadium. And I haven't been to a game now since 2015, I believe. It costs a ton of money just to park your car. At least at one point it was over $50. So it costs a lot of money to get into the stadium. And they can't do anything about the season ticket prices at this point. But when you're there, you can make it affordable for all the fans, whether you're a family of 4 or if you're just there to watch the game with your buddy and you want to get some beers. All right. Yeah. You can get a $2 hot dog, a $3 soda. So you get a little bit of a markup, but you're not killing people. You're not paying $14 for a 20-ounce Bud Light. Like, come on.
That went up, right?
It was even higher.
Last year it was 17.
See, that's ridiculous.
I offered it back. I was like, here, man. I was like, I don't even want this anymore. This is why am I paying all this for beer? Like, come on now. That
was 60 Busch Lights when we were in high school, Sean.
Yep.
Okay. And instead you're giving me 20 ounces. That's all I get. So that would be immediately connecting with the fans of saying, like, thank you for being here. Now we know that you can afford to get some stuff. Plus, you're gonna need to, especially those first couple games in September, it's hot. You need people hydrating. You need people being able to afford to get a water, so that they're doing that. Or so they're not saying, I'm not paying those prices. And from the time they get in the stadium at 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock, they don't have anything to drink. That's not going to help them out. So that's the first one. Second thing I would do is, and I think they have this, but I would make it very well known, is create a fan-friendly section. Big section where there's no alcohol in there, at all. And the prices are this, obviously very, affordable again for that situation. Because it's like someone like myself, and in a couple of years when I take my boys to a game, I've been to many Redskins games. I've been the fan who had a little bit of a hard time when they lost it and kind of lost it in the stands. I want them to have a really good experience. And at sporting events, you have a mix of fans sitting there, and some can be enjoying their beer and say things they shouldn't. And and just what you want your kids to walk away from. And so if you really had a whole section, 2 sections where it's like, this is nothing but fans. And then the other thing you can do is kind of look at minor league baseball games. Do you have like blow up slides and stuff for the fans to do? So it's like, you're not going to have a kid sit there, a 6-year-old, for 3 hours watching the game. But could they go out and play some games and do some interactive stuff that they remember that they enjoy from that time there as well? So those would be the first 2 things. The third one is for all NFC East games, home and away. I would bring back the old Redskin uniforms and have the teams wear it. Okay?
Oh, I like that.
I can't take credit for this. This happened on the Kevin Sheehan show, and somebody put this out there, and it said, what better use of bringing back the fans if we see this jersey right here being worn by the players? You can put the word Washington across the way they did with Washington football team. But also, it fits with the name Commanders. Okay? All of your Native American tribes had leaders. Yes, there's a football team called the Chiefs for them, and I don't know my Native American history perfect. I don't know if they all have chiefs, but they all have leaders. They all have commanders. Right. And the purpose of the name Commanders was to cover your politics, your president, plus your military leadership. You could also have that old Indian head logo as an alternate logo being used a few times a year, and I bet you that's going to outsell Commanders gear.
Absolutely.
Because the biggest thing you see, people are out, they're excited, but I'm still seeing Redskin stuff everywhere.
Yes.
You know? And so you can make the W the primary logo, or even if you just do it for the 3 home games, the Cowboys, Giants, and Eagles, you wear the old gear, but you keep the name Commanders. Yeah. That may be a way to get people on board with the name Commanders, because they have rejected it very, very strongly.
Yeah, right? Very openly. Very, very openly, yeah.
I got 2 more. The next one, and this may take a little bit of time, it's pretty obvious. I would fix the Sean Taylor satellite, make it a statue, and just find ways to just make it a little bit better than what it is. They've already tweaked it a little bit, but it was meant to. People thought it was going to be a statue, so make him a statue. All right. Yep. Then the last one, and they've started this, but I think the whole league could do this. Start using the term Redskins if you are talking about players that played for
Yes.
that team. If
Yes.
you are going to refer to Joe Gibbs, he was not a Washington coach.
Right.
He was a Redskins coach. If
was a
Joe
Redskin,
Jacoby
yeah.
goes into the Hall of Fame, he's going in as a
Exactly.
Washington Redskin. Okay?
Exactly.
Let's think of it this way. Did Warren Moon ever play for the Houston Texans or the Tennessee Oilers?
Nope.
No. He's a Houston Oiler. And you call him that. Eddie Campbell, you call him that. You can call Mark Rippon the Super Bowl legend of the Washington Redskins in 1991,
Yes.
and then you move on. You can have this be the primary logo of the team, but you can also have old logos for when they won Super Bowls. You don't have to just like completely erase this the way the NFL did or the way the organization did. And they've done this. Josh Harris has said it. When I used to go to Redskins game as a kid, Mitchell Rails has said, when I used to take the Metro to go to Redskins games. So they're not afraid to talk about it in a historical context. And I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think that makes fans happy because they don't want to hear, when we had the Washington football coach, Joe Gibbs, with us, it's like, come on.
Yeah, right. And I mean, hey, and to that point, I think I'm just going to expand on that because you're absolutely right. Everything we're talking about is bridging that gap. One of the biggest things that I think, especially for this year, that's been kind of a buzzkill for me is that they're talking about the NFL is doing this thing where it's like we're going into our retro jerseys. We're going to the old school. Look at the Patriots. Look at the Seahawks. The creamsicle of Tampa Bay. I want my old ones. Yeah. I want that Redskins jersey that Doug Williams had, the Joe Jacoby, the Hogs, those type of things. And we need to bring that back. So to start with mine, I just have three. A lot of our things are in the same direction. For me, number one, and something that they have been doing a lot more I've seen, but I want us to totally, you talk about the connection between the Redskins to now, I want us to totally them to immerse themselves in those old players. The Dexter Manleys, the Charles Manns, Doug, I know he's out here. Like, I want all those guys, Mark Mosley, Theismann, I want those guys back, and I want them to be revered the way that they should be. When's the last time you saw Riggins when you haven't been looking at something specifically about him or anything like that? He should be in the forefront. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I really feel like if you're really trying to bridge that gap and you're trying to bring those old fans that know, case in point, Kat's family's in West Virginia watching right now. Her dad's brother came to me when they first changed the name, and he said, "Can you believe all this mess? The daggone Redskins, what's happening?" And it wasn't too in detailed. It wasn't this whole thing like blah, blah, blah. It was just, this is not right. Yeah. And because what you're doing is you're cutting off that part. But that part is why we are who we are. Yeah. I'm not looking back at 2012 or the Kirk Cousins days as, oh, this is what I can lift up. No, I'm looking at 4th and 1 against Miami for 43 yards for the touchdown. I'm looking at Doug Williams being the first black quarterback to win a Super Bowl as a Redskin under Joe Gibbs. I'm looking at Mark Rippon. You know what I mean? These are the things that I think we need to bring back. And we need to look, I know it's been over 25 years, over 30 years since we've had a title, but we need to let those youngsters know this was a formidable team.
Right.
We were all about it. Right. We got people in here. Joshua Fritter saying, "Good evening, fellas."
Nice.
Hey, we always repping that burgundy and gold, baby. Yes. Yes. Yo, and thanks for joining us. New owners are here, so we're talking about what we do in the first 30 days. My number 2, and this is something that I feel like we all should do. We are kind of doing it. I want them to go find any tie, any connection, any picture, any written thing, anything about Dan Snyder and wipe it away. Eradicate it. Take it out of here. Look, when I was younger, we always used to watch around Easter, we'd watch the 10 Commandments with Charleston Heston. One of my favorite parts is when Yul Brynner says his name will be stricken from the books. Nobody talk about him. Nobody say anything about him. That's what I want. I want him out of here. I mean, it's one point where you're like, oh, let's learn from mistakes. No, he was the worst kind of evil. And it was not just a Washington thing. It was the whole league felt that way. So let's, just like they did Donald Sterling with the Clippers, let's do that with him. Get him out of here. I cannot stand it. And then at the very end, something that you and I have been waiting for, Washington fans have been yearning for, make it clear. And that's one of the things I'm glad they did initially. Make it clear why you're here. You're not here just to own a team and to, put another notch in your belt. You are here, like Magic said, for titles. We're here to win. We're here to bring back that name that people feared. The Eagles, the Giants, the Cowboys, they used to fear when we came in. You didn't want to come to RFK or come to Washington, wherever, because we would put that work in. Like, we would hurt you. And that is something that I really feel like we have got to bring back, man. We got to bring that fear back where people aren't looking at it as like the commies or do you have a team name or blah, blah, blah. No, we're the damn Redskins or Commanders, whatever we are, but we're coming. And that's what I think we need to do. I think those guys need to focus in on really getting this team back, getting the past back, and just bringing it together. Bringing it together.
I love all those ideas that you had, and I even heard you talked about bringing in some of the guys from the past. Where Mike Sellers said something about we never felt welcome to come back under the previous ownership, and we've already been talked to. Josh Harris called Darryl Green before that Friday celebration as the new owner to say just like, hey, we want you on board. We want you here. We want you to be a part of this. Get prepared for us to, and also part of it, like Josh Harris is like, that's Darryl Green. That's freaking Darryl Green that I'm calling. Like that means something to him. That's what makes it amazing that they found owners who they're not just buying a sports franchise and saying like, hey, by the time we sell this, we're going to, our kids are going to have generational wealth. It's like, this was my team. I got to get this thing better because I remember what RFK was like, as you said.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that is key here that we didn't seem to have that from Dan Snyder, Josh Harris, Magic, these guys, they deeply care about the product that's put on the field. But not only that, but just how people look at them. You got to understand, you took the 76ers with Josh Harris. You look at Magic and everything he's done with the Lakers and the Dodgers and all that stuff. People revere those, those organizations, those places, because they know they have people in the right place with their best interest at heart. And that's what we need. We have to bring that back.
Yep. Smart folks running those organizations.
Absolutely. Yo, we have an influx of people watching us. Cat, we sharing it out. What's going on, Garrett? HTTR, bring that back. Absolutely. Hey, we're asking the questions. You guys can answer in the comments. What would you do in your first 30 days as the new owner? Let us know. We've kind of put a couple things that we had real quick. I said, have the legends, bring them back. Eradicate anything from Dan Snyder and be clear of your intentions. We want a winner. You want to go back over yours real quick?
Yeah. I wanted to slash concession prices, make it affordable to get, a hot dog, soda, even a beer. Bring back the old Redskin uniforms as our throwbacks for NFC East games. So we see what we grew up going to. Create a fan-friendly section to make it so that FedEx can be a place where everyone can walk away happy based on the experience that they had there. Fix the Sean Taylor satellite.
Yes.
The memorial for him. That should be pretty easy. And then use the term Redskins when talking in historical context.
Yeah, absolutely. What's going on? Gabe said, have a meet and greet. Bring back the legends for us to meet and greet and have free food. I love that idea.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. Let's see. I tagged and shared you guys in the Skins group. Oh, thanks, Kat.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that was Josh. That was Joshua. Oh, appreciate
nice.
that, man.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, 100%. Give out gear for publicity.
Absolutely.
Now
if you want people to be wearing Commander stuff, you better give it to us because we're not buying that shit.
Exactly.
Maybe we'll buy it now. I mean, you and I did buy a hat last year, but maybe we'll get it now. But heck, I still have a Redskins polo coming tomorrow. So
right.
The new polo for this year is Redskins.
Right. You sent me your Redskins things. I still got my Doug Williams jersey out here. Look, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who don't know, I love all these new people. We are 80s babies. We grew up during the Theismann era, Doug Williams, Mark Rippon. We've seen the victories and we've lived under that Dan Snyder issue for a long time. Let's see. Security acknowledgement. of the name of the Native Americans publicly, yes, and work to return the Redskins with honor. Bring back the Hogettes and Chief Z Love. Yeah. Yes, and I'm glad you said that. One of the first games I went to with my fiance, we actually got to see Chief Z, and it was actually one of the last times he was at a game before he passed away, and that was one of the most memorable times of my life, because seeing him on all those videos, watching how excited he would get in the stands, you see him like going after the Cowboys got like that. To me, that's Redskins. That's old school. Bring that back, and we need to honor him because he was a big part of the 80s and a lot of the stuff that was done in Washington.
I agree.
So, oh yeah. Hey, look, he's got right on. You're 41, been through it all.
Oh yeah.
That same age range. Yep.
Oh yeah. It's been rough.
So, oh yeah. Absolutely has. But look, let's keep it moving. We appreciate y'all being here. One of the other things that's happening, you got the owners in here and we're excited about them. It's a new thing going, but we do have serious questions. It's still a business and we still are going to have people from the old regime. So Will, hey, whose job is on the line? And I'm mainly talking, management, talking coaching staff, general manager, higher ups. What is your thoughts? Like who do you think? And we can start. Where do you want? We can start with the head coach if you want to.
I'll say everyone's job is on the line right now. When you get a new ownership in here, everyone's job goes on the line. But let's start with the coach.
Oh yeah. Let's go into it. Christina Hughes, Kat's sister, saying "Magic, baby." Oh. They are so excited about that Michigan State. Here we go. Ron Rivera, is his job on the line in your opinion?
Absolutely. I mean, the fact that I think for two reasons. The first one is I don't know if his coaching style meshes with Josh Harris. Josh brought in with the 76ers a general manager, Daryl Morey, that was early on into analytics. And that's when trust the process came through. And that became their motto and the way they built their franchise. Ron is an old school coach. We know that. So is Jack Del Rio. So I don't know if what Josh Harris wants to see out of a football franchise is going to mesh the way Ron runs it. Now, football and NBA could be a little bit different. It's not completely apples to apples, but I just really wonder if they're going to be the right fit. But more importantly, it's about winning. I mean, Ron's gotten here and he's had to take on a whole lot of stuff. And you can see he's a lot happier this year at training camp because he's focusing on ball right now, which is great. I love this for him. He deserves this year to just be a head coach and work in the defensive room, work in the offensive room, and stop having to answer all these PR questions that he gets from them because of all the junk that Snyder was getting himself involved in. But he's consistently only won 7 and 8 games as head coach. He won the NFC East, and had a losing record. So that's not anything that, after 3 years, he can be sitting there saying like, yep, see, hey, new owner, look what I've been doing. So I think, there is a lot on the line here. And plus, he's putting his reputation on the line with a 5th-round pick in Sam Howell.
Yeah.
Like, that's a bold move to basically say, hey, I'm going with this young quarterback. This is what I got. Because there's one thing Ron has failed as head coach is finding a quarterback. Saying that we're going to keep Dwayne Haskins and give him a chance. Going, for Ryan Fitzpatrick. And he got hurt, but nobody was really excited about Fitzpatrick coming in here. Last year making the trade, you were the only one that was thrilled about it.
I was ready for the magic.
You drank all the Kool-Aid. You're so right. And then the trade for Carson Wentz, and Carson hasn't been signed by anybody. It's true. We got trade Ron during that, from them. So Ron has not been able to figure out the quarterback situation. Now he's going with an unproven 5th-round pick. It's kind of curious. So I think Ron's job absolutely is on the line. I think he's got a lot of proof.
Mm-hmm. Now, I will agree with you on some of that. I do think his job is on the line. I do think you need to look at him because, yes, we have struggled these last couple of years. But then I'm going to play devil's advocate because let's look at the quarterbacks we've had in his tenure. The Kyle Allens, the one-legged Alex Smith, the late Dwayne Haskins. You know what I mean? And then some of the guys that we've had recently, it's been a struggle. It has. We haven't started great, but we're never out of a season. In those last 3 years that we've only won 7, 8 games, there's still points in each of the last 3 seasons, going back to the one that we won the division, where you're looking at it like, These guys are playing because it did look great in September and October, but now in November, these guys are kind of getting it together. So I think, in my opinion, keep him. In my opinion, we've seen when some of those videos at the end of the year, especially with Reeves, when he got into the Pro Bowl, he said it. We'll run through a wall for you. We'll do anything for you. He is very invested in those players, and he cares deeply about them. And I think they feel the same way. And one thing we know about Ron is that, yes, he'll have years where, like he did with us, he took a team with a losing record to the playoffs. He did that with the Carolina Panthers. He also had a year where they went 15-1 and got to the Super Bowl. So I'm saying if there's something that he does, that old school mentality, that I love, that bridge back to the good old days, you know what I mean? That is something I think we need to keep. And I think having him here, I think that's going to be that, at least that start to shift to bringing it back to where it needs to be.
Right. No, I think Ron's coaching ability absolutely has to be commended for the fact that, think about all the times under Mike Shanahan, under Jim Zorn, where the bottom would fall out and we'd end up with 3 wins, with 4 wins, and he gets the team to keep playing and competing. And, COVID didn't help when the team basically all went down, but he kept them competitive. And we always say, give me a December to remember. And he's done that in all 3 years as head coach. So I'll give him that. And I want to say I'm not rooting for him to be fired. I like Ron a lot. I just think there's a lot at stake for him this year. And I think he's got to get, the only way he can secure it, double-digit wins and maybe win in the playoffs. It's about the only way he can secure it. If he makes the playoffs, maybe, because this is a pretty good roster. So if you're not in playoff contention, it's either because the quarterback didn't work out or, some other factors. But it's like this is a ready-made roster for someone else to come in and take it and run. So that's kind of attractive to bring someone else in.
Some people might say, I don't know who these people are, but some people might say we have one of the best quarterbacks that we've had over the last couple years.
Nobody's saying that.
They're saying it. I'm saying it. I'm saying it right now, baby. Let's go. Yo, look, let's move on up the list. We went to Rivera. Let's go now to Martin Mayhew, another former Washington player. He was on the team that won the Super Bowl back in 91 and 92 season. Do you think he should stay?
It's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be hard to keep him, again, because the whole thing of whoa, someone from Australia. Awesome.
Nice.
Welcome.
Wolfgang. What's going on, man?
I really wonder, Martin Mayhew and the way they're building this team really does seem to be a lot more old school. He said it in his press conferences. We're going to run the ball. We're going to run the ball, and we're going to run the ball again. And then we'll consider passing it. And that's just not the new NFL.
Yeah.
And to me, that type of mentality is like, ooh, Josh Harris is going to hear that and be like, no, that's not what I want for my football executives. And he's got this mixed, bag of how he's done. He's been really bad in free agency. Martin Mayhew has. Martin and Ron. Let's look back to signing William Jackson and thinking he could work in our scheme and how detrimental that was. And you gave him a boatload of money. How about last year? You got an immobile quarterback and you bring in Andrew Norwell and Trey Turner to be your 2 guards, and they're both not on the team this year.
Yeah, Trey's out for the year, isn't he?
He got hurt. He did. So really poor free agent decisions.
Yeah.
But they've, the drafts have actually been kind of okay. They made some decent picks a little bit later on. Benjamin St. Juste in the 3rd round is a great find. Getting Derek Forrest in the 4th or 5th round, great find. So they've been able to find some guys that can be solid. Sometimes it's not difficult. We got to give him credit for Jahan Dotson.
Yes.
Because you and I, when they drafted him, were like, oh, man, it's not the wide receiver I was looking for, and he looks to be a stud. So they've had some decent drafts. I don't want to say they've had some good drafts, or they haven't had great drafts, but they've improved the roster tremendously from it. But then my last little thing is the depth chart stuff is really strange.
All right, Josh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, thank you for chiming in.
Appreciate you chiming in, man. Every Wednesday, man.
But there's been some weird depth charts. The linebacker at corner. The fact that we went and signed Richard Wildgoose after we cut guys last year. And then he had to play in 3 weeks. So there's been some things there as Martin Mayhew, you're the architect of our roster. there's just been some bad decisions by him. So I really think I don't think he'll be around next year.
Yeah. And honestly, I think I got to agree with you. I love how we have done the drafts because you talked about it. Us getting Jahan Dotson, us getting some of those guys a little bit later. Look, Brian Robinson. I mean, for one thing, we know this man is built differently. Had the unfortunate, accident earlier in the year and then is able to come back and essentially carry the load, turn that offense around when we were struggling. And then going to Fadarius Mathis, going to some of these other guys deep in the draft. And I'll even say Sam. Getting Sam, taking a chance on a 5th-round QB that a lot of people outside of Washington are saying, oh, this guy isn't that great. He isn't. But these guys have all seen something, and now they are definitely on board from what we've been hearing. So for that, something he's doing right there, I do like. But to your point, there are other positions where it's like everybody sees that there's a hole here, and you seem to be avoiding that spot. And now, obviously, with the most recent stuff that we don't know what's going to happen, with Jamin Davis, but we don't have anybody to come in if he isn't on, especially with Cole Holcomb now at Pittsburgh.
Right.
So that I do think you're absolutely right that they're not. The free agency has been a struggle, and he's kind of missed on some of the picks, and he's going to be one that's definitely on the chopping block. My only devil's advocate is that he did play for us, and he was from that last part of that team. So I do want to maybe keep with that bridge to get it over. But I definitely agree with that. He said Jahan is a gem. I told everyone when we picked him up, don't let his size fool you because he makes up for it. And we saw that when it turned out to be a fine and great pick. Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Ray's all over. You must have watched more Penn State than I did. Because I did have a Penn State fan say, no, this guy's great. You're going to love him. Yeah. Well, I do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at it, that's that wide receiver group. Woo. Okay.
Yeah.
But we'll definitely get into that. Mark is saying Kaliki Hudson has been decent. Decent, I'll give you that. And look, anything that we get from him, I think exceeds expectations because we didn't expect him to be outside of more than just a special teams guy. Shout out to him out of, I believe, Michigan. But
Michigan.
We saw him.
The thing we got to remember with that first draft with Ron was Martin Mayhew wasn't here. So, like the Cam Curl, I didn't give him credit for because that was Kyle Smith running the draft with Ron Rivera. So there are some of those guys, like he said, Kaliki Hudson's been making some good moves here at training camp, but that wasn't a Mayhew selection. But he certainly was a great find.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And for the last guy, and I think we both kind of agree, Jason Wright. For me, I'm just going to keep it simple. Goodbye. There's something about him, especially, and I go back to when they did the name change, when 2-22, we unveiled the Commanders, and just the look of my guy, Doug Williams, who was up there with him, and just how he kind of was back here like, this is your team. There's something about Jason that just doesn't do it for me. Maybe it's the fact that I kind of feel like he was more of a diversity hire or something to try to take a little bit of tension off of Dan Snyder and everything like that. But every time I hear him talk at a press conference, maybe this is me. People in the comments, let me know if y'all agree. Will, let me know if you agree. I just can't get on board. I don't believe him. It just seems kind of fake to me. Like he just seems like, oh, I'm doing the job, but I'm not. He's not invested. I don't know. For me personally, I think his job's on the line. I think he needs to be the first one to hit the road, Jack. What you think, Will?
Well, I think for one thing, I don't disagree with what you said. All three of them are going to be given the opportunity to prove themselves this next year. The Harris Group is not going to come in and fire anybody. That's what Dan Snyder did. He's told Charlie Casserly, you're out of here. They're going to let them fix what happened because there's been some things during Jason's time as team president that have not been good at all. And I don't know. We don't know how much of it was Snyder related, and I think Snyder was a part of some of the mistakes they had. But at the same time, this is your organization. This is your staffers. This is your staff people that take a picture of Sean Taylor's family in front of the Porta-Johns. I know, Jason, you didn't do that, but people that you hired
did your watch.
And why did you let someone who's taken that picture not have the photographic wherewithal to say, oh, okay, hold on, let's rotate. We got to rotate here. I know we got the sign here, but this is not good. Or if someone didn't like come in, do an inspection of the grounds and go, why are the Porta Johns right underneath the Sean Taylor waist, road sign? Like, this doesn't make sense. So there's been some bads. 2-2-22 was awful. It lacked all kinds of organization, and the rollout was terrible. The fact that when they announced the next 10 greatest Redskins, we misspelled a player. Like, there's been no organizational understanding. They fired a lot of people to change the culture, which is important. But then there was like, you and I talked about like, hey, do you need me to volunteer as a consultant for you guys?
Right,
like,
right.
We have some time that we can be like, okay, give me the names. Who do you need to be considering? Like, you don't have Trent Williams on here. Why do you not have Trent Williams on the top 10? The next 10. He needs to be on it. And then you misspelled a linebacker. You misspelled the dude's name. Like, come on. And then the fact, the second Sean Taylor incident, the installation, the satellite that they have for it, and the communication of it. Because if you heard from the media that they were calling it a statue, you knew what the reaction was going to be. Mm-hmm. I truly believe he deserves, another year, because I'm sure that the first time they retired Sean Taylor's jersey, that was a Dan Snyder move. He had a report come out earlier that week. And then all of a sudden on a Sunday, we decided that we were going to retire Sean Taylor's number. That's a Dan Snyder, like, let's change the PR, let's do something. So you can't credit him for that. But I will want to say this about Jason, that he deserves a lot of credit for it. The culture has changed at that organization. Right. He's brought in a lot of folks, some non-football folks. He's brought in a lot of diversity there, adding a lot of females to the staff in the executive roles. That's important. He deserves a lot of that credit. I also wonder, is there another role within the organization that he could be good for? Yeah. I don't know if team presidents is what he's best suited for, but is there something else he could be doing? Is there a department he could be running? Because he is obviously a very quality person. He's a good figurehead to have out there. And one of the things I like about him, I hate that they make mistakes, but he acknowledges them and he apologizes for them.
Yeah.
The previous regime would never say we made a mistake. And he's like, yep, we did that wrong. We got to fix it. But bottom line, in my opinion, to where you're saying, where like he's probably got to go, you can't mess up the Super Bowl numbers the way he did. 1992, get out of here.
Can't do that. Cannot do that. And I mean, look, people in this chat and people that are watching, they won't have to go much farther than the whole Sean Taylor thing, because not only was it that the picture in front of the Porta John and the whole poor excuse for a statue, but let's not forget when they tried to do it, they tried to retire it against the Chiefs. Remember when they had it just marked off in that little spot, and then we see the infamous video of Mahomes' little brother doing a TikTok dance on it, like that. What? You hit the nail on the head where it's like, dude, read the room. Like that should never be allowed to happen at all. That's just tremendously disrespectful. So that's what it is. Marcus said, give Rivera his job and make EB the head coach.
Yeah. That could be coming.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. I do like that the owner said that they're not coming in here and, off with the head. They're not taking these guys out immediately. But I do think these are questions, especially with them now here, that we need to have addressed. We definitely need to have addressed. So go ahead.
I'm excited for this next topic.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. And look, fans, guys, you in the comments, this is something that I know is very big for you guys, and we need to talk about it. One of the first things that happened once the new owners came in, the question that everybody wanted answered, are we going back to the name Redskins? It's been in the news, Return of the Redskins. Will, we want it, but realistically, can it come back anytime soon? Like, what's going to happen?
Yeah, no, it's been real interesting, the how it's all of a sudden come back. And what's most interesting is when people have said the name, they're not getting any criticism. No one seems to care if the new owners or if Magic Johnson says the word Redskins. It's not, hey, we don't want to say that word. It's like, so it's kind of interesting where if like the whole excuse was it's offensive and, to the whole culture, well, no one's really calling anybody out on it for using. So it's really interesting. I don't think it's by coincidence that Magic Johnson in a taped interview with Craig Melvin dropped the name Redskins or talked about a name change. I don't change that. That's a coincidence. I don't think it's a coincidence that both Josh Harris and Mitchell Rales have said it when talking about it. They may be mostly discussing it in a historical context, but I don't think that's a coincidence. It's almost like they're putting out this like soft use of it just to see what the reactions would be, and it's definitely up to it's in saying like it's up to the fans. It's what the fans want, but. And it's a big but. And I'm agreeing with you, Russell. It's not about what us fans want. And this new ownership group and the NFL, I would really doubt they want to bring on that negative publicity that would come from it. Yep. From change the name to back to Redskins. The corporate dollars that went away. Now, some of them were fake. FedEx, that was a power move by the CEO, former minority owner. So that was a power move by him. But losing Bud Light as the sponsor, all the other teams have Anheuser-Busch as your beer sponsor, and we don't, because of who Dan Snyder was. I don't know if you change the name of Redskins, they're going to be like, yep, okay, we're back on board. Right. So that's why I say you bring back the Indian head logo as the name Commanders in this next couple of years and just start pitching that as an alternate logo, because that would be a way that we see some of the stuff and it fits under the Commanders umbrella. But as much as I would love it to see this, I just don't think you can really bring back the name Redskins as the name of the team.
No, I mean, and it is not just what happened with Dan Snyder. But there's been a lot going on in society that has kind of lent for the name to be changed. And we aren't the only ones. If it was just the Redskins, then, okay, maybe we could be like, we'll see. Maybe we can bring it back. But it's not. The Guardians got switched. Other teams got their name switched kind of as along with it or kind of coupled in with that stuff. And on top of that, before we really went into changing it, certain people had something to say about it, but it wasn't widely agreed with where people were open about it. Once we did it, then everybody was like, yeah, that is offensive. That is offensive. For us to then flip back, it's a contradiction. It's how are we any different from, who it was before? Do we not care? That's why I agree with what your point is. I don't think it's going to happen personally, but I do think, like the point you made yesterday on the college show, that the symbol can be different. We know the symbol, the feathers, coming down and the Native American. And I believe that's what we need to do and bring them in, include them into the team and kind of, work with that community in that regard. But as far as the name, I just don't think it's feasible. Like, I just don't think it genuinely could happen with just the state of everything and how things are going right now. I would love it. It means we don't have to sell all our stuff. We can bring back some of this stuff out there. But at the same time, I feel like we've kind of moved on from it. And I respect it. I love it. As long as we can just take the hatred from that name. Because one of the things that I loved about the name Redskins is, yes, it might be derogatory. It might be a name that, we necessarily aren't proud of. And even when you look at some of the things in there, George Preston Marshall, our first owner, he was the last owner to allow black players on the team. Like, these are things that could lend to that. But at the same time, first black quarterback to start and win a Super Bowl, Doug Williams, broke many molds. A lot of things that we've done in the front office has been the first. One of the first female coaches we had. There's been a lot of progress. There's been a lot of things that Washington has been able to do that really make a difference. So we need to bring back the aura of the name, but that name is just it's not coming back in my opinion.
So let me ask you this, and this is good, folks that are commenting, please share your opinion on this too. If they were to bring or select a name, say the Potomacs or say the Warriors, who we think is so generic, but they say they can bring back the Indian head as a result of that, would that change your perspective on a name change?
Yeah, I would. Look,
would you rather that?
Give us the Indian head. Give us the whole garb. Give us, I don't know if they can do this, but, the chief, bring that stuff back. But just bring that connection back. Because I think that it's key that you don't lose that, because you're going to have people nowadays, especially the youth, not relate to that. But if we want them to know they're part of a team with success, you got to bring that stuff back in. Take the name out. I'm for that. But yes, I do think we need to bring some of that symbolism back. What do you think?
Oh, I think it's interesting. I mean, I would love it. I would love to be able to wear, the stuff that we used to wear and know that I still see it every day. I love that helmet that we had. I think it's interesting that there is a group, and I listened to the Al Galdi podcast a couple of weeks ago called like the Native American Guardians Association, and they're basically saying like, they're against this eliminating all Native American imagery and names through sports. And it's like, you are erasing us in this country, as opposed to, I'm not saying that the name Washington Redskins celebrates it. I thought that was a very silly excuse that they used, that Snyder and Allen used. But it's like, you have a symbol like the Russell just said is, everyone loved that Indian head. So it may be a situation where you could call them the Warriors, you can call them the freaking Commanders right now. But if if all of a sudden you've got a polo with that Indian head logo on it, people might be like, I'm fine with it.
Right. Because at the end of the day, they don't have to call them. They don't have to call it by name. They can just say Washington, like what we've been saying when we didn't want to say football team or Commanders. We say Washington, and they can do that, or they can say Redskins, whatever. But that symbolism, man, that's the thing that brings it. You looked at the intro. The intro video had RFK, had Redskins stars in it, had a lot of the symbolism for the Redskins stuff, but also you have the new stuff. So we got to bridge that gap, man.
Yeah. Scott.
What do you say? I'm watching Big Brother. Hi. What up, Scott?
Scott, what year is Big Brother on? That's what I want to know. Is it like year 40? Is that
right?
Season 40?
Ray, what's going on? I think the fan base will be ecstatic with the Indian being brought back. Yep.
Yeah, I think so too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. He actually answered season 23. And still watching it.
Yeah.
Still watching it. Somebody said 25. Oh, snap.
Yeah.
So, hey, let us know what you guys think. We definitely would love some kind of symbolism to bring that back. I understand they can't have the Redskins name back, but definitely. Now, if they don't go back to the Redskins, do they still try to change the name, or is Commanders it for us?
I think by the time we have a new stadium, we will have a new team name.
Ooh,
I do. I think when you heard Josh Harris say, it's not up to me, it's what the fans want, and Adam Schefter goes, fans hate the name, like right to it. I don't think these guys are naive. I think they know. They know what, they know the fans are they're not on board. And so that's why I know I'm repeating myself a bunch of times with this, but it's like, if you want fans to somewhat get on board with Commanders for now, bring back that Indian head logo and put it a part of your umbrella of Commanders. Then more fans would be accepting of it. But other than that, we're going to go through the Warriors, Red Wolves, Wolves, Red Tails debate that we had before, and that is exhausting.
Yeah, it is. And that's the other thing. Like, at this point, how much do I really care about pushing it now? Like, I just want to win. Can we just win? Let's focus on that, and then they can call us whatever they want to call us, man. So,
exactly.
But look, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick breather. And on the other side, we are going to hit some of the off-season moves and go right into training camp. Thank you so much for being with us. We'll be right back.
Dun, 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 dun.
Let's go. The Washington Commanders. There it is. Buddy, what is going on, people? It's your boy Sean Spencer with my guy, Mr. Will Kramer. Welcome to Washington Football Weekly. The offseason is winding down. We are in August. We have a month until the first NFL game starts, September 10th for us. And first preseason games are right around the corner. So let's go ahead and look back at kind of how we looked in the offseason. What happened? What went down? There have been, a number of retirements. Some people released. I think one of the biggest losses for us, and, he had injury issues, but Chase Roulier, that was a big loss, and respect that he retired. But at the end of the day, he couldn't stay on the field, and it stinks. But more importantly, that veteran leadership that he's been there. He knew the offense, that continuity that he brought to the table, man. What are your thoughts on that, and just some of the other things that happened this offseason?
Absolutely, yeah. Right before the start of training camp, there was a slew of moves that happened there, and that was one of them. Was Chase Roulier retired and Andrew Norwell got released. And like you said, the Chase news is sad that he had to retire. He was a solid center for us. He had back-to-back years of leg injuries, and I think that either the rehab and having it happen again, or maybe the results after, they didn't really go into the details of why he was retiring. Just that he's decided to call it quits before age 30. Like, that's too bad. Because you and I talked about this when they released him. They said, we said, you know what, somebody's going to sign this guy for a cheap contract because of his injury history, and he's going to ball out for them, and they're going to get a great signing because of this. Because we know who he is as a player, but ultimately I can only think that maybe the body just got to the point where, it might have been too difficult to recover, or he said, I don't want to go through this and risk this again. So yeah, big loss. And I don't know if we're better based on who we replaced him with at center with Nick Gates. So, could be a bigger loss.
Oh, yeah. Also having injury issues. So that's going to be interesting. Eli Wolf, another one of those that he retired. He was,
who?
Just a piece. Exactly. He was a piece. I thought I wanted to bring him up. Shout out Eli. You talked about Trey Turner, Adam Norwell. Both of those guys left. I don't know that I would really miss them because they struggled a lot last year. Yeah. Here's a couple signings that I was kind of interested in. Byron Pringle. We know how close he is with EB and coming from the Chiefs. But this directly affects my guy, De'Ami Brown, who would be that number 4 guy. Pringle coming in here knowing his EB system, this could be big. I mean, he could be somebody who just fills right in.
I don't think he was brought in to be a camp body. I think he was brought in with hey, this guy can help our team. Let's get him on it. But I will say this, Sean, I don't think this affects your guy.
Yeah, he's been doing enough.
Yeah, from not just the reports, from training camp and even going into it, it's like, I think your guy's safe. So De'Ami is the 4th. I think Pringle right now would be the 5th, and it's kind of like, what are you going to do at the 6th? Are you going to go for a returner like Kazmir Allen? Are you going to go for a taller wide receiver like a Marcus Kemp, who came over from the Chiefs? You're going to go with the holdover Dax Milne, who they like runs routes. So it kind of some flexibility at the 6th. So 6th wide receiver spot. So yeah, we'll see there. The other thing, they brought in a kicker, an established kicker, Michael Badgley.
Let's go.
I think he used to be with the Chargers. I was going to call him San Diego. That's why I was like, what team is the Chargers play for? What city are they in? So he was with the Los Angeles Chargers and then Detroit last year. He's always been pretty accurate, I believe. I remember him on the Chargers. I would pick him up in fantasy because he always had some high accuracy numbers there on his kicks. So that's kind of exciting to push Joey Sly a little bit. Thank goodness, shout out to Alex giving us some hey, who is this guy? What does he do?
Yeah.
Just kind of saying that, he doesn't have the strongest of legs, and Joey Sly does have a strong leg. But regardless, I love for 2 reasons. I love the kicking competition at camp, but I also believe that kickers probably could use a break during training camp at times. I don't want them to wear out their legs because there's only one kicker. Wide receivers run all these drills and other guys get reps, but there's one kicker out there as we've had. So it's like, I'm kind of glad they brought in someone else, and competition's good. So I'm good with that.
And we absolutely need that, because the only issue, while we didn't have an issue with length from Joey Sly, we did have an issue with missing kicks that he should 100% have hit. Kicks well within his range and everything like that. We go back to that Dallas game at the end of the year. This thing should have been over 30 points, but he missed extra points. He missed field goals, and it missed a bunch of them, but at the same time can hit a 50-plus yard kick like it was nothing, like he did in the Philly game and some of those big games that we needed for him. So I agree. Bring in 2 legs. Let them both work it out. Maybe one guy's a kickoff guy, or maybe one guy you keep Sly for those long kicks. But I think that was huge.
2 roster spots for kickers.
Hey,
you can't have 12 offensive linemen if you have 2 kickers. On the team.
I was about to say I can give up one of my linemen for an extra kicker. All right, I could do that. All right? But this is another point. Wiley, we talked about him getting picked up earlier. That's a huge move for us because that's another guy that knows EB, but is also flexible, mobile. Somebody that we can get going. Johnny said, "I'm a little late. Sorry, I'm late. What's going on, Johnny?"
It's all right. Thanks for joining.
You're here, right? You're absolutely here. Who else? Anybody else that we
signed a running back and what was it? Russell said something about the 2 rookie running backs. We signed a Derek Gore this week. I know nothing about him. He played for the Chiefs. We're becoming the Commander Chiefs right now. I'm okay with that. If you're going to pull from that team, that's fine. It's when we were pulling all these Panther players up from that didn't
let's pull from a winning team. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So hey, we'll definitely see because that's another position that's going to be. Well, we're gonna chop that down a little bit later, down closer toward the season when we do our roster stuff. Russell's saying he hope we see Chase back to himself.
We've got that segment coming up here, Russell. Hold on just a few minutes.
Oh yeah, absolutely do. So yeah, we're looking closer to the season. One of the things I am excited about with this is that the moves seem to be definitive. So even if this guy, guys are retiring or maybe releasing them, we're bringing in other guys for that spot. Now, still not at linebacker because with what's going on with Jamin Davis and then Cole Holcomb, we need somebody in that spot. But for a lot of the other spots, our own line, maybe our D-line, maybe our secondary, we're filling holes that we needed to, and we're being definitive. We're not getting this guy, random stuff. Fitzpatrick 2 years ago, Wentz last year, making moves that aren't beneficial to the team. Now we're actually doing things, building depth, and kind of going in this thing quietly, but I feel a lot more confident in this. So
yeah, definitely.
There we go. But look, we have got to move on. We got one more for you. Hey, 2 weeks in, training camp is here. So let's dive in. Yeah, buddy. Training camp 2023. I know you saw my guy Diami.
Started it with I just saw you start with Sam Howell. I missed Diami.
Oh, hey, start with the Tar Heels and end with the Tar Heels. Let's go. Yo, so training camp is here. And personally, you talked about this before. The fans are back. We're talking, one of the things that's been huge for us in Washington is not having that home field advantage, not wanting. We love our team, and some of us casually watch, but we have not been really able to support them because of the cloud of Dan Snyder over them. Now with the people coming out, there's a good product on the field. Man, I am excited just because there seems to be a lot more energy at training camp this year.
Oh, absolutely. It's been wonderful. And the players are talking all about it. How much excitement there is. Here, Chris just asked us the question. Does a fan petition? Yes. Oh, you know who that is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is this going to be Kyle making up names and asking questions?
Oh, no. This is Chris from the Vanderbilt guy. Yeah.
Oh, okay. My bad. I thought it was Kyle going on as his names and stuff. There's a fan petition to change the name back, but Trey Lance, I haven't heard that. No, thank you. No, thank you right now for Trey Lance.
He, if I'm not mistaken, Chris, aren't you a Titans fan? Keep all 3 of your quarterbacks. Choose which one of those guys is going to do it. But go ahead.
Yeah. No, the players are talking how much excitement there is at training camp and how much the excitement, the vibes, the cheering. It goes really well and it kind of hypes them up a little bit, especially when it's hot out there. It's August in Ashburn. Ashburn is not a cool place.
No.
This week's a little bit better. I heard up in your area, but it's pretty hot out there, so it's helped. But it's been good. The update. What we've heard from training camp has kind of been what we were anticipating. The defense right now is ahead of the offense, which is not surprising because we got a new offensive coordinator. It's a new scheme that's being brought in here. We essentially got a rookie quarterback. You essentially have the best 4 linemen on defense. They're not wearing pads. So it definitely, is not surprising that the defense is ahead of the offense. And Sam Howell right now, from what they're saying, is they're showing he's got a live arm. That he's real good with some deep throws. He kind of knows where he wants to go with the ball. I thought about last year. You and I, it was this time of the year. We're like, hey, it's training camp. Don't worry about the Carson Wentz inaccurate throws. He's just trying things. Well, we were wrong. But you're not hearing so much about Sam Howell being completely inaccurate. They're hearing a little bit more about how he's got a strong arm. He's willing to push the ball downfield and stuff. So that's exciting stuff to hear. What has kind of popped out to you?
Well, obviously I've focused on that, and I want to temper my expectations, because just like Chris said, on Monday, Will Levis for the Titans went 6 of 7 for 5 touchdowns. It's training camp, right? But that's my thing. Yes, these passes have been on point. One of the things that I was really focused on, especially with this new offense, is we talked about him getting his steps right, getting his footwork right. But I wanted him to be getting those receivers. Practice makes perfect. So like you said about what Wentz did last year, that I did not want to see. I wanted to see Sam with a full off season, and now he's doing. And from what we see, it's looking good. One of the things that I'm excited about with him, though, is that it's the attention to detail, but he's ready to learn. He's ready to, pick up on what EB is telling him, Rivera, the receivers, the quarterbacks. Brissett has been helping him out a lot, and that's something that I think in why for him we need. You know what I mean? Another spot I'm looking at a lot is the other side today, his wide receivers. His wide receivers, McLaurin has been catching some nice. You talked about my guy, De'Ami Brown, who's really he's taken it upon himself to kind of have a sense of urgency. I need to get it together now. You're not the third guy anymore. You're down the fourth, and with, like I said, Byron Pringle in there, even if they have no intentions of moving De'Ami Brown down further, you still have somebody that's nipping on your heels that knows the offense, so doesn't have to sit here and learn something new, so they can easily put him in. It reminds me of when we had Ryan Fitzpatrick. What did we do? We got Adam Humphries. In any other situation, we wouldn't have had Adam Humphries playing, but he was supposed to be good with Fitzpatrick. Unfortunately, Fitzpatrick didn't play that long. So, but my thing is this, and this is Russell, I like what you're saying. I just hope the team can rally around their new quarterback.
Yeah.
I think they have. I do. I think outside of Washington, there's a lot of people saying, oh, Washington doesn't have a quarterback. This guy's unproven, yada, yada, yada. Great. Keep saying that. This guy has proven himself in college, and I know that's only college or whatever, but the fact that he got dropped down to 5th, he has taken it upon himself to really up his game. Attention to detail. They did an interview, John Keim did an interview with his quarterback coach, and he said he is so dialed in to the new playbook, to a lot of the things that he's trying, a lot of the nuances and the things he's learning and picking up on and getting close to wide receivers and his linemen. The linemen love him. They're sitting here saying that's our guy. That's something that I'm like, okay, they'll protect you if they like you. You know what I mean? So I love what I'm seeing from him. The wide receivers, I'm loving what I'm seeing. And but talk to me about the other stuff. Talk to me about the defense. Talk to me about how we really looking.
Yeah, well, obviously the defense being ahead of the offense, as we kind of said it before, but that's no surprise. The defensive line's been pretty tough. Now they haven't been wearing pads a whole lot, so it's kind of hard for those offensive linemen to stop Montez and Chase and our two big defensive tackles coming running at them without just playing hand games and stuff. But the line has put some good pressure on them. They certainly said, and that's made sometimes Howell's had some trouble out there the last couple of days. But the thing that I've heard, and this is what I was real curious on, is our first round pick. He's been holding his own out there. They talk about his smarts, his instincts. They talk about his ability to see routes, see concepts, and jump stuff. The big question mark with Forbes is his size. And there was a video yesterday where one of the wide receivers, they were wearing pads so they could be a little more physical. At the top of his route, he shoved him. And turned around to catch the ball. So that's what we're going to need to see is he going to get pushed around a little bit. But from now so far, he's been holding his own out there, and that's pretty good. And what they're talking about is that, Forbes and BSJ and Fuller really provide some opportunities for Jack Del Rio. And then you've got our safeties out there. We've been talking so much in the offseason and last year about how we don't have linebackers. Well, Jack Del Rio basically just wants to throw a whole bunch of DBs out there. So basically what we decided to do is say we're going to be good on the defensive line. We're going to be good in the secondary. And that's how our defense is going to work. And I think it's going to provide some flexibility for them. So it's kind of exciting to see how some of this, and to see how Quan Martin's doing and Forbes is doing, and that they can be instant impact players.
Oh, yeah. Outside of that, that's secondary has been huge. I've been looking into that. The backfield, my old position, running back. One of the things that I really wanted to kind of pick up and see from this is, can each of these guys be maybe more of what they're supposed to be? So we know Brian Robinson is a bruiser. One of the things that I don't know if you noticed last week, he had one of the catches of the day. One hand over his shoulder catch, and was able to release from the defender. That's something I didn't know that was in his game. We didn't really utilize him because we had a lot of wide receivers and Antonio Gibson. But I think that's something that if he can start with that and get him out into the open, we already know how much of a bruiser he is. But if we can get him into space and going up against maybe one or two guys, the first guy's not bringing him down. And then on the flip side, Antonio Gibson. I mean, last year there was a lot of talk, especially around the trade deadline. Oh, Gibson wants out. Oh, Washington doesn't want Gibson. I don't feel that way at all. I've always wanted him. Number one, I want that 2 running back system. But 2, Gibson has been the guy that once you put him out in space, Gibson is going to get you. He's gonna make people miss. But he's a threat out in space. We've seen they put him at return man last year when we needed it because Dax Milne wasn't getting it done. And he opened it up. He's given us 10, 15, maybe even 20 yards better of field position because of what he's able to do. And he makes that defense step back because now they have to pay attention to where he is either in the return game or at running back. But now him kind of leaning, and I've heard they're kind of talking about him potentially being a third down back and getting him, we know EB loves the screen game. We know he likes to get it out to those running backs quick and get them going upfield. I can really see Antonio Gibson having a big year this year because of how he's going to be utilized in this offense. And I'm all for it. I'm excited about it.
Me too. I love the fact that they want to get both those running backs involved in the passing game, and just to so someone like Brian Robinson doesn't seem so one dimensional. So I'm thrilled with it. And you said it. The star of training camp right now is EB. I mean, he pushes players. I even heard today he yelled at some refs. Like, he is all about a tempo, and some refs were out there and they were trying to explain what they called. And he was like, "We got it. Get out of our way. Let us go."
Yes.
He doesn't want to waste any time out there. And I love that. I love that urgency that he's saying. And I think I heard on one of maybe the first days with pads, he didn't like what the offense was doing or the timing. He was like, "Get off the field.
Yes.
Bring me a new set," and it's like, so, they always use that model. You practice, how you practice is going to turn into how you play stuff. I'm kind of messing that up right now. But it's like, I love the fact that he's making them practice with a sense of urgency. And it's a long way before week 1. It's a long way before week 17, week 18. And it matters. But these are some good changes that we've seen out there.
Oh, yeah. Russell was saying, I don't think they use Gibson to his strengths in the past. Hopefully not anymore. I completely agree.
100% agree. Yes.
Yeah. And so that's why we're hoping that with Eric Bieniemy's new offense and, things that they did in Kansas City, they use those running backs. You talk about McKissick. You talk about Pacheco. You know what I mean? Those guys might not have been not McKissick, McKinnon. Those guys might not have been household names, but look at the Super Bowl. That running game started to pick up. They were able to get back in that game, the Chiefs. So EB knows what he's doing. What's going on? Candy saying, what's the new name? Right now, we're the Commanders. Okay, and let's just win. Let's win. We discussed that a little earlier. Are they going back to the Redskins? What are they going to change it to? I don't know if we as fans have it in us to go through that again.
Cool.
So let's just get a W.
Yeah.
And Giant DMV Commandos. Hey, we'll see. So hey, training camp. Anything else that has caught your eye? I like what you said about EB because I think he's going to be a difference maker. If not for anything else, we mentioned culture earlier. He has put a sense of urgency on this team. And it's not tomorrow. It's not next week. It's right flipping now. Let's get it going. So I love what he's brought to the table. But anything else you see in that's kind of caught your eye?
There is, but he's the topic of our final segment.
Yeah, buddy. Wait, which? Yep.
Do you have it written?
No, I do not.
Okay. Well, let's talk about Chase Young.
Yeah. That's what yes, I had it written on the paper. Yes. Go ahead, Will.
So basically, the question was asked today during some of the DC sports talks. I think Kevin Sheehan had is, what type of production do you need to see from Chase Young to warrant an extension? And one of the things they've been, this not a star, but what has been noticed at training camp is how Chase is healthy again. He's not wearing a brace on his knee. He's got the quick steps. One of the things John Keim said was he used to stutter step a lot last year, just basically not showing that confidence in that knee. But that's gone. He's got a strong burst to him again. It's like, oh, this looks like the 2020 Chase that was out there. So essentially is, all right, what do you think it's going to take for him? What stats? What do you want to see from him to say, we need to franchise you or we need to sign you to an extension? I'll ask you the question. Let you go first.
I mean, if we're going by stats, if for an extension, I need 10 plus. I need 10 plus sacks. His first year is rookie of the year. He got rookie of the year in 2020. He had 7.5 sacks. I think he had a fumble recovery for a touchdown, a forced fumble, that type of stuff. I need more. I need him to be that number one pick. Now, I don't think it's fair that we can just put that on stats because, like you said, at camp, he's that energy. You think EB is is energetic? Chase at full health when he's not thinking about his knee, he's that fire. That's the guy that we wanted in here. So I'm saying it has to be 10 sacks. Now, for an extension or for the franchise tag, he's got to produce 5-6 sacks, deflections, tackles for losses need to be high. He needs, and at the very least, he needs to make that offense go the other way. You know what I mean? He runs upfield, they come this way, and they reverse field because they're so afraid of what he's going to do. We need to have they need to have the fear for him that they have for 7 from Heaven in Dallas.
Oh, Parsons.
I
was like, who?
Yeah, I know. 11 from Heaven. That's what it meant. That's one of the things that I think we need. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. So I'm with you where I'm kind of looking at, you're going to have to produce, but I think produce is kind of a bigger word. Yes, double-digit sacks is pretty easy to say, like, oh, double-digit sacks, we should probably keep this guy. But I also think back to the time where, like, in his rookie season, Brian Arakpo had 8 sacks and 4 of them were against the Raiders in one game. So what happened the other 15 games? You had 4 sacks. That's not that great of a season. So you got to kind of watch what numbers are. But the bigger one would be similar to when we re-signed Jonathan Allen or we talked about re-signing it, and Jack came on and said, he was number 3 either among all defensive linemen in percentage of pressures on the quarterback. So that to me is a even bigger stat than did you finalize the play, is are you making an impact on the play?
Right.
And that could be something where, hey, we've got 4 guys there that can get to the quarterback. So if to throw out there, hey, Chase, you better give me 10 sacks or else we're not going to sign you. Well, what if he's putting enough pressure that somebody else is eating because of it?
That's true.
So is it, could impact plays could be just as effective,
right.
or is his pressure forcing the quarterback to throw early and Forbes is getting interceptions?
Exactly.
So it's kind of, I'm kind of throwing a whole lot of stuff that we may not be able to have good numbers around. But so I think it's more about, is he making an impact again the way he did in 2020? Is he coachable? He was not in 2021. You know, those 8 games before he got hurt, he was not being coachable. He was doing his own thing. He was doing the LeVar Arrington stuff out there that Greg Williams was like, get out of here. I don't need this. And then finally, he's got to show that he can be healthy. He's got to play in over about 14 games. Show that, you know, it's one thing to get nicked up here and there, you know, non-knee related, that type of stuff. But he's got to be able to say, like, hey, you are back. You can be healthy for us to consider extending you and keeping you on board for a little bit longer.
Yeah. I mean, look, in this league, we know the best ability is availability. And whether we like it or not, it's what have you done for me lately? You know what I mean? We know how great he was in college. We know what that first year was like. But since the injury, it's been a lot of questioning. I can't sit here and vouch for you if I haven't seen you play. And when I do see you play, it's you know, so game time, when everything gets strapped up, we will see. Hopefully he's back though. Yeah,
I mean, if he's back, I mean, if he provides what he did in 2020, I mean, those 4 linemen, I mean, that defense is going to be nuts.
Right.
It was good last year, but they were not, you know, it was good, but it wasn't great. But you got a healthy Chase Young joining those 3 guys that were already there. That's going to be a sick defense. And if you got these guys that are ball hawks back there and can start making some turnovers, holy smokes.
Oh, yeah.
Call us the Baltimore Ravens and let's Sam Howell take us to the Super Bowl.
Right? And I think what Russell's saying is actually perfect. He said, I like Chase, but Sweat is a beast and a long wingspan. But more importantly, this one, his Chase's only downfall is that he goes wide and too deep into the backfield. And that is the difference. That's what you were talking about him not being coaching, right? Not being coached. One of the things that was huge when Chase was out, the reason why we were able to get so much pressure and why Daron Payne was able to succeed so much, because Montez Sweat played within the scheme. If he had to push his guy up to let the other guy, to let Payne come around on a stunt, he did that. He did what he needed to do. And sometimes he wasn't going to get all the attention. He wanted, but those are the plays that, like you're talking about, where he's opening up maybe something or pushing the quarterback to the direction of his other guy who's coming up over there to do that. So, I love this. Johnny said Sweat is a bulldog. I think Chase was exposed his rookie year. I
don't know about exposed. I don't know.
Not exposed. I don't think we were a rough team that year.
I mean, I think I had the hot take last year. I don't think we said on the show that the Sweat was not going to be returned, that they were not going to sign him, because after the whole 36 sacks record, you know, breaking everything, you could tell he wasn't fitting the scheme. He turned it around, and I think it's a guarantee that Sweat's going to – Cam Curl and Montez Sweat are going to get the next contract extensions, and the real only chance for Chase to stick around longer would be to be franchised next year and then work on the extension. But I don't think it's an either or that they're just considering. I think Montez is a part of the plans, and is Chase a part of it too, and he can earn it this year.
Oh yeah. We very well might have seen our starting at least three out of our starting 4 last year, where we had Montez, Daron, and Jonathan Allen. Because Daron Payne and Montez are 2 that we were kind of iffy a couple years back. We had questions about them. They've proven that they could play within the scheme, and hey, that makes a huge difference. Didn't want to ignore this. Candy asking, do you think we're gonna make it to the Super Bowl this year? No, I'm gonna say that no, it's not gonna happen. Not even jokingly, it's not gonna happen. Right. But I do expect to see a lot better product on the field, and I definitely expect us to be in that playoff race. I mean, a year ago, at one point, we were 7-5-1, and then we obviously went 0-3-1. But still,
Well, we are right now, I believe, listed at 6.5 wins is what Vegas has us at. So I've already reached out to Jack and say, hey, let's go. Throw some money on this. I'll take the over. Let's hope he does.
Definitely take the over.
He gets so scared. Jack won't ever place my bets that I give him, since I can't in conservative South Carolina here. Jeez.
Over. Definitely the over.
Yeah.
And Russell,
that's what I'm saying.
This is it. This is all we ever want to see. Other than the name, we just want to see wins. Let's see good product on the field. Period. So, and I think we have that. I think with EB here, I think new ownership, Rivera and those guys, they've got something going right now. And I honestly, I think people are fitting. We're not hearing, I mean, let's think about this time last year. Sam Mills III getting fired and they bring in Jeff Zanina, and people weren't okay with the Sam Mills. Like they had an issue with Sam Mills, and we had to do that. JDR, Jack Del Rio, had his little dust up comment a year ago at this time. And unfortunately, Brian Robinson getting shot. There was so much that went on at this time last year, on top of Carson Wentz being our quarterback, that it's just nice now that it seems like all of the talk, all that extra stuff is behind us, and we can focus on football.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. We'll post that thing by Johnny. It's August. Well, that's what you're supposed to be. Nothing but positive vibes in August.
Let's go. I believe.
Oh, there's a good question by Russell. They are promoting the assistant. Is it Travell Wharton? He's going to be promoted. This is all the stuff they couldn't finalize because Snyder wasn't going to pay these coaches these extensions. But basically, Juan Castillo is going to be like a run game coordinator, basically. And you're going to have a Travell Wharton's going to be the O-line coach, and then they brought someone else to be the tight ends coach to focus on that, because Juan Castillo was a tight ends coach last year. Let's just never played tight end, so maybe not the best fit, but I think that's kind of what I heard Ben Standig report a couple weeks ago. They should be announced them by now, I would think. I'm surprised.
Yeah, and shout out to Johnny. I love.
Oh, how kind!
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Gary said people need to get over the name change. It's not priority. Let's get back to being a respectable organization and winning again.
100%.
Perfect comment. Comment. And we will end it on that one. Look, ladies and gentlemen, we are so happy that you came here to join us. Will, at one point we had 31 people in the comments watching, going back and forth. So, hey, Gary, Johnny, Russ, all of you, Candy, all you guys that took a minute just to watch us, got into the conversation, went back and forth. Hey,
we appreciate
it. We're talking about the team we love. We know you love them too. So come back next week, same time, same place. We will be rapping about our team. And Will, I'm going to take us out in the way that we came in today. I don't like to brag on my stuff, but I'm excited. I'm kind of excited. So for my guy, Mr. Will Kramer, you know who it is. It's your boy, Sean Spencer. We love the Commanders, and we know why they can't. Stand up, left hand up. Who are we? The
Welcome to Watson Football Week with your host, one half of that dynamic duo, Sean Spencer, and South Carolina's finest, Will Kramer.
Don't play us if you're undefeated.
Where we celebrate past success while looking to a bright future. There's a youth movement in Washington, and they're ready to take the reins, led by a fire. It's a new day.